Hey guys, Chris Elliott over at RE/MAX Action Real Estate with your July Richmond housing market update. Very excited to be delivering this information to you guys in under 5 minutes. So we're going to start off with the national news. We're going to start off talking with unemployment. As you can see in the graphic, we are still, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics put out their report that's current through the month of June. Unemployment is still very high at a little over 11%, but the good news is over the last couple of months we are continuing to see that number trend downward. Another piece of information that's valid to know, at least for the sake of housing, that we don't have a graphic for, is the amount of folks that are unemployed. The large majority of those are jobs or folks that are under the age of 24 years old. So while we feel for those folks that are unemployed in that bracket, thankfully, at least for housing, those folks, by and large, were not in the housing market to start with, which is why the housing market has been relatively unaffected by the amount of job losses that we're seeing. Another thing to keep in mind, I've had a lot of people asking me, hey, is this a repeat of 2008? You know, with all these forbearances, with unemployment, are we going to start seeing foreclosures flood to the market like we did in 2009 and 10? The big difference this go round is folks, by and large, have a lot more equity within their homes. So you'll see in this graphic, over 77% of homeowners have over 20% of equity in their home. So what that means is if folks do get in a pinch, if they do get in a tough spot where they're no longer able to afford their homes, they can afford to sell their homes without, short selling them or letting them go into foreclosure. So a much different equity situation that we're seeing in today's day and age versus what we saw, like I said, in the Great Recession. All right, so talking about nationally, the projection of what we're going to see appreciation rates at this year, there's a lot of different opinions from different economists out there. You could see some of the big, firms that we're tracking. It seems for the most part, most people think we're going to have appreciation somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4%. That would be my projection for our local market, at least from what I'm seeing as far as homes getting bid up, prices continuing to rise. Zillow, House, and for whatever reason, CoreLogic is thinks we're going to see 6.6% depreciation. Not exactly sure where they're getting, making that projection from. Not exactly sure what data they're seeing, but it seems to be they're the only ones that are projecting that we're going to have big time depreciation. Most everybody else feels like we're going to have appreciation, which is pretty good. All right, so now getting a little more granular to our local market. If we look at showing time for the state of Virginia, showing time is a service that tracks showings, in most major metropolitan areas. So you can see the dark line is last year's showings. The orange line is this year. As you can see, we're pretty much right there back where we were last year as far as the amount of showings at this time of year, the amount of folks that are going out and looking at homes. The big difference, I would say, as we move to our next graphic, is the amount of homes that are actually on the market. So we're in very much a scarcity of inventory, which is what is continuing to drive prices up. But if you look at this graphic, this is month supply of inventory. Month supply of inventory is just a graphic or a metric rather that tracks how long would it take to sell out the current amount of inventory if no new inventory hit the market. So this is looking at it for the last 2 years, and as you can see, pretty much we've been in a nosedive in month supply of inventory since over the last couple months, meaning we're at about 1.7 months supply of inventory. Keep in mind, anything under 6 months supply of inventory is considered a seller's market. So we are very much in a seller's market at this point in time. And if you look at the median percent of list price to sales price, meaning how much of a seller's list price are they actually getting, once again, this is tracking this over 2 years. Pretty much since March, we've been at 100%, meaning that on average, if somebody hits the market, they're getting 100% of what they're asking for in the property. I honestly don't know if they track how much above asking price this goes, but we've been seeing pretty much anything under the $400,000 mark, as long as it's habitable, if it's priced anywhere where it needs to be. A lot of times those homes are getting sold for full price, or they're getting bid up above asking price and having multiple offers. So very much still a seller's market. So what does this all mean to you? If you were a seller, definitely if you've had any thoughts of selling, it's an amazing time to sell. I would recommend you to take advantage of the opportunity that we're in. Don't wait, because we don't know how long this will last. One thing we know about hot markets is as amazing as they are, they all usually cool down at some point. So We don't know when that cool down will be. Typically, we tend to see that in September, October. We don't know if that's going to happen again this year. It's kind of a fluke year with everything that's going on, but we know eventually it's going to stop. So we're suggesting to all of our clients, let's take advantage of the good times now. We also recommend still adhering to best principles as far as best practices rather, as far as getting your property ready. Do all the things that you should do to get your property showing its best. Let's do good marketing, let's take good photos, let's do video, let's do all the things that we normally do to get our clients top dollar. A lot of folks are of the mindset of, hey, it's a hot market, I can just throw anything out there and it's going to sell. And the reality is it probably will. But the other reality is if you're not doing the things you should be doing to properly market your property, you're not going to take full advantage of the market we're in. And yes, maybe you sell, but you're probably not going to sell for as much as you potentially could have. So don't get sloppy in the hot market. And then also what we're doing a lot with our clients is considering a delayed reviewing of offers, meaning, hey, we're not going to take the first offer that shows up because we're seeing folks try to jump on properties. We're going to give it 2, 3, 4, 5 days on the market before we review any offers. Typically, we're listing on a Thursday. We're saying, hey, we're not going to review any offers until Monday. That allows us to pile up multiple offers, and folks know that they have to put their best foot forward because they're more than likely competing against other offers. So that's for sellers. For buyers, man, it's tough right now. It's a very, very competitive market. It's a great time to buy because mortgage rates are as low as they are, but there's a lot more buyers than there are homes to sell them. So just know that pretty much on any property, you're going to be competing against other buyers. The reality is you're probably going to have to pay full price. You might even have to pay above asking price. We're seeing properties get bid up $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 above asking price, $30,000 above asking price. So just be prepared for that. Another thing that you could do, because obviously, most people can only go up at so high in price, is to get very creative on the terms that you can offer that seller. Have your agent call the listing agent, find out what's important to that seller, whether it's a rent back, whether they want to, have an easy time on the inspection negotiations, whatever it is. Every seller's got a hot button, so you got to figure out what you can do to push that seller's hot button as far as getting creative on your terms. And then, just be prepared to remove as many contingencies as you can. If you're somebody that needs to sell, man, you're not going to be able to go to a seller and say, hey, I need to sell my property first. Your property is going to either need to be under contract or already closed. Any contingencies that you can remove in this market to make your offer more attractive is going to be helpful for you. So that was your housing market update for the month of July 2020. I hope you found that useful. If there was anything that I didn't cover, if you have any further questions, concerns, or anything, feel free to contact me via the information below. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next month.